Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of April. I hope you are using the Lost Forest for you today, which is an interesting choice. What do I have to tell you? I did a 6-month overview for each of the signs at the beginning of the year. And given that we're now halfway through this 6-month period, it seemed appropriate that I knock the price down. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out and you're interested, the link is in the description box. I think they're like £2 or £3 now. It's not about the money. I would like the messages that were in each of those readings to get to the people who need to hear them. So, like I said, link's down there if you want it. Do feel free to go and check it out. And there will be an extended at the end of this reading if it resonates with you. So, Scorpio, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. Seems like an age since I read for you. All right, I have 3 cards for Scorpio, please. The first card that we have is the Moon in reverse. The second card is the 5 of Wands. Interesting, that's a Leo card right there. Let's have one more for what's coming towards Scorpio, please. We have the 9 of Pentacles. This is good. This puts an entirely different timbre on the whole reading. We have the 6 of Cups at the bottom of the deck, which is... it's a Scorpio card for a start, but it's a card of the past. It speaks to me of the past. Oh. Followed by the Emperor and the Devil. It's quite an interesting combination of cards here, particularly given what's already out on the table. I'll come back to those in a second. Let me get some clarifiers first, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah, those ones. We'll give this a shuffle. It's a card that's dropped out onto my lap here. It is the 3 of Swords, which is quite interesting. But again, we'll get to that. So tell me about the Moon in reverse, please, for Scorpio. Yep. We have the 4 of Swords and the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Wands is a Sagittarian card, but actually, I found out last year that it has a correlation with Scorpio. I forget what it is exactly, but it can be used for both, which is interesting. Tell me about this 5 of Wands, please. We have the King of Cups. There you are, Scorpio, always appearing in your own reading. And we have the 5 of Wands. We've got the 10 of Swords in reverse, and we have the 2 of Pentacles also dropped out down here. I'm going to take those because they seem relevant. Tell me about the 9 of Pentacles, please. We have the Hierophant. And we have Strength. Cards of Leo and Taurus, respectively. So, at the bottom of the deck, we also have the 6 of Cups, intriguing, followed by the 10 of Cups and the 7 of Wands. What an interesting story. So, the first card that you have is the Moon in reverse. Now, that's the card of Cancer in the Major Arcana. It's numbered 18. And there are lots of different ways to interpret this card, right? Sometimes it talks about secrets, sometimes it talks about that which is hidden. And the way that I read, I tend to see it as the subconscious or the non-conscious, right? So it's often things that are kind of buried away deep in your head, in your heart, in your mind, in your subconscious, whatever, that you are not aware of, like things that need to come to light in some way or another. Now, the fact that it's come out in the reverse suggests to me that things have come to light, right? More than that, I feel like you have allowed them to come to light, and that's a big step for a Scorpio. Remember that this is in your recent past, so this is, this has already happened. Because it's clarified by the 4 of Swords and the Knight of Wands. Now, the 4 of Swords is my meditation card. It follows on from the 3, and we have already seen the 3 for you, which deals with heartbreak and wounding and all that sort of thing, right? But it kind of fell out onto my lap rather than, erupting in a big display. And then we have this 4 of Swords, which talks about that withdrawal from, all sorts of things. It could be anything, while you go about the business of processing and healing that which has been wounded in you, right? Now, I've yet to meet a Scorpio who hasn't had some sort of, trauma occur at some point in their life, right? It seems to be a defining feature of the Scorpio experience. But we see you here reflecting on it and actively reflecting on it, right? Absolutely borne out by this Knight of Wands here, right? A real state of active reflection and things having come to light. Now, I'm not sure at this point whether these things have come to light because you chose to actively reflect on them, or whether something's just come up and rather than kind of battening it down like Scorpio is prone often to do, that you've maybe sat with it. Like, either of those are possible, but it is directly related to your past. There's no doubt about that, because we have here the Six of Cups at the bottom of both of the cards, right? This is my card of the past, but it is also a card of children. It's a card of childhood. It can sometimes be cards of past life, you know? Either way, it's got a historical element to it. Now, the way in which the cards beneath these have shown themselves, I find very interesting, because here we have the Ten of Cups, right? The happy family card. It's the one that talks about, you know, the emotional fulfillment that comes from, you know, having that tight-knit emotional support network, possibly. But certainly emotional investment, right? And then we have the Seven of Wands underneath there. I've just noticed that we also have the Seven of Swords under there too. They're cards of being very defensive. There's a card there of possibly deception, right? Or sometimes risk-taking too. But the fact that the two sevens have come up together, it feels like it's a warped view of what it is to be in a happy family, right? One that stems from your past. And by warped, I don't mean, you know, awful and terrible, just that the experience that you had when you were young was not reflective of what a good family dynamic really consists of. Yeah. So then we have under this one, we have the Emperor and we have the Devil. These are talking about control, right? And more than that, I feel like it's the way in which you have felt since you were very, very young, that you needed to control your environment, right? And that has come from a place of fear. That comes from a place of not feeling supported, not feeling cared for, right? You know, I've just said before, you know, that scorpionic tendency to snap back within yourself, you know, to sit in the shadows, to plot and all that sort of thing, right? It's a way of making sure that nothing surprises you, because there were times in the past where things did broadside you and it left you very unstable. So now you control your environment, you keep everything where you know it is, you know. Just as an aside, scorpions aren't crustaceans. They're actually arachnids. They're closer to spiders than they are to crabs. And there's something always very kind of webby about the way that Scorpios live their life. You know, you set up, control your environment, you set up this web, and when things ding on the edge, right, you know that they're coming, right? You can tie it in with just how fucking psychic Scorpios are, right? Maybe it's psychic, maybe it is just because of the way that your mind works and the way that you set out this web. And so when things, you know, and red flags start going off here and there and everywhere, you're like, right, I'm ready for this, I've prepared for this. But it seems like whatever's come to light for you recently has really shone some light into that aspect of yourself. It seems like you understand it more than you ever have done before. And I feel a little bit like there's quite a shift going on with you here, but that you are resisting it for whatever reason. And there are a multitude of reasons why you might be resisting it, but resisting it, I can feel that sense of resistance, because on the one hand, there's something about the way that you live that you like very much, right? It keeps you protected. It keeps what is soft and delicate and fragile about Scorpio, keeps it well away from other people where it can be affected, where other people can't get at you and hurt you in that way that you were hurt in the past. But there's something burgeoning for you. It's a yearning to change an aspect of that too. Now this could bring up all sorts of, I could see how resistance would come to this here, because sense of identity for Scorpio is really, really important. Like you really like to know who you are, and you like to know who other people are, right? You can't fucking lie to a Scorpio. You just can't do it, right? They'll smell it a mile away because they see you, right? You see people as they actually are. The irony is that you very rarely show up as who you actually are. You know, you let shades of it out, you let elements of it out, but you never really let people get into what is the soft underbelly of the Scorpion. And for good reason, right? But certainly in your mind, for good reason, because you've been hurt before. But we've got this conflict here in your current energy. This is the Five of Wands. It's actually a volcano there, right, in that one. It talks about conflict. It talks about something building, you know, and it can be petty squabbles with people, that's possible, but it feels very internal for me with you, right? It's almost like this burgeoning something is like the lava starting to come to the surface. Now, you pride yourself on not having big titanic overreactions at people, right? That's not how the Scorpion works. Like, you piss off an Aries, you're going to know it immediately because they're just going to be up in your face and shouting and roaring and all this sort of thing, right? With the Scorpio, you're like, I see, okay. And you kind of scuttle backwards into the shadows and you prepare, right? Scorpio is the epitome of the phrase, revenge is a dish best served cold, right? That's absolutely how you work here. But this something's coming up to the surface for you. And it definitely has its seat in the emotional, because we have you here as the King of Cups, right? You are a sign that feels very, very deeply, right? In a way that you don't like to show. And in some ways, and this seems to be apparent for most male Scorpios, but I've seen a lot of female Scorpios do it too. Like, you're quite happy to allow people to think that you are shallow. Right? Because that actually serves your protection agenda better than anything else. Well, yeah, okay, whatever, I'm just shallow. Right? The reality of it is you're absolutely not shallow, and you feel things so very fucking deeply that it runs directly to the core of who you are. You know? Aries will blow up at you, but they might well forget it by the next day. Like, it's just how they are. It's just how they show up in the world. Every time something emotional happens for you, it feels like it drags, it's like a rusty knife across something very, very sore already for you, you know? But whatever's come to light recently, it's almost like, it's like a ray of light shining in, and it feels like it's illuminated something, and it's shown you a way that you can heal it, right? Or at least the beginnings of a path that would lead to healing at some point in the future. But the most important thing is that you're open, becoming open to the possibility of walking that path, right? Now, we've got the Ten of Swords here, and it's in the reverse, which is interesting because this way around it talks like it talks of all of those things that Scorpios are not interested in bringing into their life at all, right? We're talking about betrayal, rejection, you know, incredible pain, being left for dead by someone. Like, this is not something that Scorpios do not understand. This is something that they've experienced, often very, very young, right? And then it's formed a pattern which dictates the way that you live the rest of your life, right? So certainly not interested in courting that in. But it's come up in the reverse for you. And reversals don't often, no, they don't always mean the opposite of what it means in the upright. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it can talk about a delay. Yeah? Delay of that energy coming in. A delayed ending. But that doesn't feel right for you either. It feels like a detachment from that which hurt you, you know? So maybe you have childhood trauma, right? Most Scorpios do at some point. Right? At this point, you are now so far detached from that, right? This exists as a, you know, like a scar caused by some sort of rusty weapon on your soul. But you're not in danger of it anymore. This is the thing. Right? It doesn't actually touch your life apart from the way in which you show up in the world. You know, maybe your parents are dead. You die of old age, something like that. But you're still repeating these patterns from this, you know, this that you experienced in your youth. Maybe it was a particular relationship in your teens or your early 20s and you were like, that's not fucking happening again. I'm not going to let that happen. You know, that's possible. Or it could be something else. But the fact is, you're not in danger anymore, Scorpio. And I think that this sense of heightened hypervigilance, I think you're starting to feel the energetic cost of it now. Right? It's tiring, it's exhausting, and it's the way you've always been, so you've never really considered anything different. But it feels like it's starting to really show now. And you're like, do you know what? It would be really nice not to do this. It would be really nice to face the world and just be as I am, as a King of Cups, without needing to layer it and hide behind it and pretend that I'm shallow to people, pretend that I'm not what I am. Because it's interesting how important authenticity is to a Scorpio. And that shows up. It shows up with you for the people that can see it. But most people can't. They don't perceive the depths. As an important Scorpio to me once explained how he didn't actively lie. What he did was leave gaps, and people would fill in what they wanted. You know, what they just did it naturally. And so when you would pull off, I go, I didn't say that. And you go, well, you implied that. I was like, well, I didn't say it though, did I? Like, that's what you put in. That was your assumption, you know? It's this beautifully created spider web. And so you're authentic, but you're not. You're honest, but you're not. And I think, I honestly think that it's starting to take an energetic toll on you. And I actually think that you're not really interested in pursuing this anymore. This way of going, oh, but that's not quite true. There's a sense of conflict about it, right? Because it runs to the core of who you are as a person, right? Feel very deeply. This has been ingrained since very, very early on. And there's a part of it that you enjoy. There's a part of sitting in the shadows with this that is very, very comfortable. And I understand that, right? Darkness can be an incredible friend. But that sigh there just says it all. Do you know? There is a different way to do things. And the resistance is coming from the fact that you are starting to even contemplate this. It feels like a threat, Scorpio. That's how your subconscious is perceiving this as a threat, right? Like, oh, fuck, no, don't you dare put yourself out there. You know how this went down when you were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20, however old, right? You know how this went down. It ended up with you being really, really hurt, and it took a lot for you to get yourself back to where you are, except that things are different now. Things have changed, you know? It takes a lot to keep you level, you know? It's funny how we're looking at this Knight of Wands here, and I said that this crossover, I forget exactly what it is. I think it's something to do with the planet that rules it or something. I can't remember, right? I just know that it exists. But it's primarily Sagittarian. Right? It talks about a lack of commitment often. Right? We all know what this is. It's a fuckboy card, right? Fuckboy foot girl. Yeah, whoever, it doesn't matter. It's a comfort in not engaging on any kind of deeper level with anything that you don't have to, you know. And there will be compromises made, you know, your children are something different. You know, a partner that you choose to commit to is something different. But for the most part, even then, there's always something just kept a little bit back, you know? Not necessarily with your kids, but certainly with your partner, something kept a little bit back. Because the more you let people in, the higher the point that you'll fall from. Like that's just it. Like that's the problem. I think the cost of maintaining this don't give a fuck attitude, don't commit attitude, all of those sorts of things, it's getting too much. Right? And where you are is in this place of, well, how do I do it differently? Right? How do I train my mind to do something different? How do I stop my subconscious from screaming at me? Because that's what it's doing at the moment, right? It's just like, no, how dare you even contemplate doing this? This is not good. This does not keep us alive, you know? That's what your sympathetic nervous system is doing, to try and keep you alive. And there maybe have been points in the past where that mechanism actually did keep you alive. But we're coming back to this fact that you're not in that place anymore. You know, I assume spiders have exoskeletons. I know spiders have exoskeletons, but like scorpions do too. Do they? I don't know. You should tell me that. I'm kind of assuming that they do because they're arachnids. But if that's the case, then what's happening is that you just can't be contained in the way that you used to be. It's time to get bigger. I'm actually going to Google that after I finish this reading and see if scorpions do have exoskeletons, because it feels like you're pressing up against the inside of something, Scorpio, and it's uncomfortable. Right? What was comfortable in the past just isn't comfortable now, and it's time. But it's time to move beyond it. It's time to grow beyond it. Well, what's coming to you in April is the Nine of Pentacles, which is fascinating because we have the Hierophant and we have the Strength card underpinning it here. And I can't tell you how huge this is, right? These are major energies that are underpinning something that looks on the face of it kind of minor, because it's minor arcana, right? It's the pips. But it's all about you because it's a 9. The 9s are all about the individual for me, right? And it's the 9 of Earth, which is the 9 of Pentacles. I see Pentacles as energetic currency. Right? So anything that you are capable of investing then becomes a pentacle. Your time, your care, your effort, your energy, your love. Maybe your money too, but that's a kind of sideline thing for me. So then this card, which speaks about self-sufficiency and independence, those two things that Scorpio really, really pride themselves on. Becomes a card of good resource management, however those resources present. Right? Putting your energy in the right place. Shifting where your energy has always been into something new. Now, this card always makes me, it looks like a fucking Pokemon. I fucking love it, right? But it's a shining thing, right? It's showing up here. It's not hiding its light under a bushel. Scorpio, you've done that forever, and more than that, you've kind of left gaps for people to assume that you are shallow, that you are X, Y, Z, you are, you know, maybe a bit, what's the word that I'm looking for? Abrasive, naturally, rather than seeing that it's a defense mechanism, you know? It's about redirecting your defense mechanisms and putting them to play somewhere else. But where you're putting them into play is not in defense. It's an investment in you, right? And that's where this comes in, because this is really incredible. Rather than coming from a place of fear and trying to defend yourself against other people, we see is this kind of shift in perspective. We see here now you committing to yourself. Rather than committing to protect yourself, we have you committing to invest in yourself. We have you committing to grow in some way or another. The Strength card is all about growth for me here. But it also speaks to me about acceptance. There's something fairly fundamental in you, Scorpio, which has never really accepted you. You know, perhaps it has been because you've been so rejected your entire life that actually, you know, you come to a point where you have rejected yourself for a long time. Maybe you think there's nothing about you that is worth anything apart from X, Y, and Z. You know, what people can get out of you and what you actually allow people to feel like they're taking, while you know that they are not getting anywhere near the centre of you and who you are. Tell me about this Hierophant, please. Two of Wands. And the Wheel of Fortune. And the Ten of Wands in reverse. Three of Swords at the bottom of the deck here, followed by the Five of Wands. Again, you know, the ways in which you are heartbroken, the ways in which you feel like you are broken and beyond redemption and cannot be fixed, like it seems like a light has been shone on that. Like, no, you're not broken. You are different, yes. You are dark, always. But maybe you don't have to invest quite so much in defending yourself because you are not where you were. You know, we've got that Two of Wands there, which talks about coming to a crossroads. And I think you've been at the crossroads for a while. I think you've been standing there and waiting for an answer to come because you knew it would come at some point. You didn't know what sort of form it would take. You didn't know whether it would come via a person or an event or just something that pinged off in your mind, or maybe just a shaft of light coming through from the clouds and illuminating one of the paths over the other. But you knew it would come, and it feels like it's here. We've got the Wheel of Fortune following after that, and that's a big card. I like the fact that it looks like it's in, it kind of looks like it's in negative there, except that it's not. If it was in negative, then that would be a big ass fucking moon that was behind that windmill there. And the Wheel of Fortune talks to me about fortunes improving, but it talks about movement more than anything else. It talks about something shifting. It talks about big external forces coming in, and often it speaks to me about having really learned something. Right, a teaching moment having occurred. It's interesting that the Hierophant there, this card of commitment, this card of faith right here, is also the card of the teacher. And we have a card of, you know, that plus a teaching moment underneath. And then we have the Ten of Wands here. But it's in the reverse. It's you putting down this energetic burden that you have been carrying for such a very long time. Because think about what you could achieve if you were carrying these 10 sticks around on your back for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, however long it has been. It's like this shaft of light that's come down through the clouds has shown you the possibility of a life where you don't have to carry that. Now you will resist it because you are a Scorpio, but it feels like it's taken root and it's not going to go away. Now I don't think you're going to share this with anyone because why would you? But it's talking about a subtle shift in the way that you show up in the world, Scorpio. Right? And it'll be subtle to everybody else, but it feels like it's big for you because you're looking at investing in yourself now. You're looking at accepting yourself. Maybe even realizing that you are incredibly special. You know, I mean, that would be a big one. That would be huge for a Scorpio. But where you have judged people who saw how special you were in the past, right? When they got a little bit too close to you and you're like, just like, back off. You know, I'm not in the business of committing to anything, and you can do what you like, right? You can fill in the gaps that I've left open for you, but ultimately, you know, I will reverse if this becomes too threatening a situation, and by threatening I mean elicit any kind of emotional response in me. Then I'm going to be like, I'm out of here. You used to judge those people, but I think part of the shift is you not judging those people anymore. It feels like an act of contemplation, seeing yourself in a different light, allowing your light to shine. Judgment and the Knight of Wands again. But we have the Empress at the bottom of the deck. That's more earth energy, right? A symbol of fertility and abundance. The sort of things that you want to bring into your life. And in order to bring those into your life, you are going to have to release the things that stop you from feeling that abundance. Right? The Judgment card for me, I don't think it has a specific correlation with any particular sign, but there's always something kind of scorpionic about it for me. Yeah. And I don't know if it's because it's that second chance kind of energy or what. You know, and the Scorpio has that ability to be able to evolve again and again, you know, change form as and when necessary. But we've got a light coming down through the clouds there, you know, bathing your internal space. You know, there's people literally with their hands up in the air like, fucking hell, you know, hello, it's nice. Feeling the solemnness for a change. And then we've got this Knight of Wands again. This one's going in the opposite direction though. Where this one was going backwards, this one is going forwards. This one's on a mission. Charging really hard. This one looks like it's just sort of posing, to be honest. Like, hey, look at me. This one isn't taking any notice of anything, it's just charging forwards. And the Wands cards are all for me about living. They're about experience. It's putting down all 10 of these ones and going, which one's the best one? Which one's a good one? And I picked that up. I'm going to roll with it. There's my Ace of Wands. There's a reinvigoration in the way that I live my life. I like this for you, Scorpio. This is deep. This is really deep. Right. If this has resonated with you at all, I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. I'm going to pull this apart a little bit more and see if we can't extricate some more stuff here. We know we can. Like, Scorpio is just bottomless in terms of things that you can pull out. So if you're interested in that, come join me. If not, that's all cool. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.